When it comes to capsule wardrobes, it is so easy to feel bored, uninspired, or like you're wearing the exact same outfit over and over again. And so if you're someone that wants to create more interesting outfits, even with a small capsule, I have 3 weird methods for you to help you elevate your style. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making when building their capsule is having too many visually similar items. And so if that's the case for you, it's no surprise that you might feel like all of your outfits end up looking the same or very, very similar. And this is where the rule of 2 actually comes into play. If you have 2 items that are of the same type, for example, blouses, and they're also of the same color, they need to be different in at least 2 other ways. And so whether that is through patterns or thickness, texture, length, silhouette, or style, you need to make sure that your items are significantly different. And that is going to help you to create different looking and different feeling outfits. So let me show you with my own autumn capsule wardrobe. So for example, for me, I love a white shirt and a white top, but I have a bit too many to put all in the same capsule. And so I picked those 2 because you can see they're different in terms of their pattern. One has and one doesn't. One of them is thicker than the other. One has a flat and shiny texture. The other is matte and 3-dimensional. And the silk one is a lot more fitted. The other one has those oversized sleeves. And so even though they are the same color, length, and when worn have the same neckline, they're still significantly different, and I can create different looking and different feeling outfits from them. Same thing I have with the 2 white jumpers that I decided to keep. So you can see this first one is actually quite plain. The other one has a bit of a pattern. The fit is also different, with one being looser fitting. The other is definitely fitted. And also in terms of details, this one has a V neckline and it has the stripes on the sleeves and the embroidery. As you can see, putting those 2 jumpers with the same pair of pants actually creates a different looking outfit. So when it comes to those 2 gray tops, I love them both. And you can see again, they're different in terms of their pattern and length, which was important because you can create slightly different looking outfits. The necklines are different, and also stylistically, one is a lot more classic, the other one is a lot more sporty. And so again, combining with the same pair of pants, they're going to look different. A lot of you actually share that you like pop of color outfits. And so if that's the case, you probably want to have a couple of different colors that you incorporate in your capsule. And so it's really important that if you have, let's say, 2 red tops like I do in here, that they're significantly different. And even if you have tops that have the same pattern, like those 2 blue and white striped jumpers, you can see that they're still different in terms of their neckline, in terms of their fit, and even the size of the pattern is different. And so the outfits I can create with them will end up looking different. And you might want to incorporate the same color as a solid and also as a pattern, like you can see with those jumpers. And one of them is very, very plain. The other one you can see has a lot more texture, has a pattern, the details. And so again, they will create different looks. So when it comes to bottoms, I don't really like wearing colorful bottoms in the colder season, especially because I tend to have black shoes and tights, and I just don't like the contrast. And so rather than having just one pair of black trousers, black shorts, and black skirt, I have variations of the same item. But again, you have to make sure that they are significantly different. And so whether that is through different textures, having different details, patterns, length, or fit, when you contrast your items, you're going to be able to create different looking outfits with the same tops. And the same thing actually applies to shoes. And I mostly wear black shoes. This is what I personally enjoy. But at the same time, there is still a level of contrast and difference between each of those pairs. And whether that is in terms of length, style, whether they are shiny or more matte, all of them have something different. And so I'm able to create a variety of different outfits. So following the rule of 2 is going to help you to create an interesting looking capsule in itself. And so you can mix and match items and create different outfits for different occasions. But what happens if you're someone that likes a certain silhouette, maybe something that you're really, really comfortable in, or maybe you have to wear a specific type of outfit for work, for example, wider leg trousers and a fitted top? Well, in that case, you might actually end up using the second rule, and that is what I call the safety blanket principle. Safety blankets are, like the name suggests, something that we're just really, really comfortable in. And especially on those days when you wake up really tired, you don't have any creative energy, and you just want to put an outfit together and know that it's going to look good and feel like yourself, those items are really crucial. And so safety blankets are those items that will not fit the rule of 2. They're not different in almost any aspects beside color. So let me show you what I mean. So here you can see I have 3 pairs of trousers, 2 are jeans, and they're exactly the same pair of jeans because I find that these are the most comfortable with the elasticated waist. And that sort of fit is really comfortable for me for working from home because they are a little bit looser around the stomach area and they allow me to sit whole day without any problem. Now, I bought them in 2 different colors because I wanted to have the option to pair them with different items. And my black leather trousers pretty much have the exact same fit. They have the elasticated waist, they're also fitted on the leg and they're tapered at the bottom. And so essentially, those 3 pairs of trousers are my fail-safe. Now, the next fail-safe for me as a top is a plain fitted crew neck jumper. And again, I have this in 3 different colors. I have the yellow, I have the blue, and I have the black. And you can see they're very, very similar. They don't pass the rule of 2 test because the only difference really is in the color. But I can pair any of those tops with any of the bottoms and create an outfit that I'm happy with, that I feel very comfortable, and it takes about 3 seconds to put together. And when it comes to jackets, I also realized I have a fail-safe because I have 2 of the same items. And that is this sort of slightly oversized but still fitted jacket. And I have the suede version and I also have the denim version. And so you can see that from those items, I can put 18 different outfits and they all look similar, right? They're not super different, super interesting, but they're all fine. They're all outfits that I'm happy with, that I'm comfortable in. And if I have literally 2 minutes to get dressed and run out of the house, I would definitely wear a combination of those 3 because I know that it's going to look good. And so the fail-safe is a really helpful tool to create the base on which you can then add things like accessories, jewelry, or anything else to make it more interesting. And the final method is something that I called visual stacking. And this is really the principle that I use when it comes to creating interesting looking outfits. So if you watched my previous video about how to create the ultimate capsule wardrobe, I introduced 8 different tools that you can use to build your wardrobe and recognize and honor your preferences. But in here, we're going to be applying those tools to our outfits. And so what I realized is that we have the foundation of the outfit and then we have the extras. So the foundation is what you wear on your body. And whether that is trousers and a top or a skirt and a top or a dress, it's basically the things that are on your body, maximum 2 items, right? And so that is our foundation. Anything else that we add on top, whether that is layers, jackets, accessories, shoes, anything that goes beyond that, these are the extras. And so you might have a style where you prefer only one type of foundation, or you might be like me and depending on the day, like to have a more simple foundation or a more extra foundation. So let me show you what I mean. So if you think about the most basic foundation, I would say that it's a black top with a black pair of straight jeans. You can see that those items are not different in any sort of way. And so in here, we're going to look into different dimensions and ask ourselves how different is our foundation from the basic one. And so we're going to look into things like color, pattern, length, texture, thickness, overall shape or fit, details, and even stylistic contrast. So if we only change one element, so in here we've only changed the color, we've added instead of black jeans, we've added blue, it's still a very neutral base. But if we change the texture and make the black matte jeans into shiny faux leather trousers, we've changed only the texture, so it's still a very neutral base. We can now change the color of the top, and now we have color and texture, and maybe the top can be a little bit oversized, but it's still very plain. And so again, all of those bases are very neutral. So if you would describe your base as minimal, classic, simple, neutral, understated, then all of those foundations are going to be in this level 1 or 2. They're going to be simple. And so any other foundation that has 3 or more differences from our original black jeans and black top, we're going to call a more interesting foundation. And so you can see, for example, that we can change the top to have different texture and color and more details. We can add a pattern top, we can change the length and the texture, or we can even have something that is very over the top, like the striped yellow-black jumper, or even this oversized ombre one, which I love. And so all of those bases you can see, we're upping the intensity. And so the important thing in here, if you want to create interesting outfits, is that you have a choice. You can start with a simple base and then build it up, or you can start with a more interesting base and pretty much stay there, or up that with even more visual interest. And so in here, we can visually stack with 9 different styling tools. And for each of those tools, we actually can have a more light basic version when we only use one thing from that tool, or we can use 2 or more things from that tool. So I'm going to show you a lot of examples to illustrate what I mean. And by the way, if you're someone that's more visual and wants to learn about the different tools you can use to create your ultimate capsule wardrobe, definitely check out the PDF below because I have put a lot more examples and information on what each tool is and how to use it. Let's start with those two very simple bases. Again, they're level 1, 2, so they're quite classic, quite clean. Now, the first tool we're going to use is color. And you can see in this first outfit that the blue jumper is literally the only thing that stands out. And so instead of just a black jumper, we have the blue one, and that's it. We have one colorful element. But in the second outfit, we have now added the orange back. And so now we have two different colors. And this straight away creates more visual interest. Another tool that you can use is patterns. And so again, if we want to just have one patterned element, the outfit is straight away going to look a little bit more interesting. But you can also mix patterns and create a visually higher in interest look. So you're visually stacking two levels of pattern. Similarly, when it comes to layering, you can only layer 2 pieces, and that's the very simple level. Or you can layer 3 or more pieces to again create a higher visual interest in your outfit. The next tool to add visual interest is texture, and the basic version of that would include only one item, such as this white blouse that has floral applique. And the more advanced version would include 2 or more items, like the coat in here that just adds even more texture and contrast in that way. Next, we can play with length as a tool. And so you can see again with the basic outfit, once we add the white coat, which is quite long, so it again contrasts with the expectation of just a moderate length jacket. And so we're creating visual interest through the coat. But if we now change the trousers to shorts, you can see straight away we have more contrast in length, and again, the outfit becomes more visually interesting. The next tool we can play with is fit. So you can see in here we have everything that's pretty much fitted besides the jeans, and so that creates a little bit more of a visual interest, but that's just simple. Or we can have the jeans and the coat, and so again, that is upping the contrast in silhouette and fit. The next tool you can use is the details tool, and so how interesting your items are on their own. And so you can see that in here, the top is the only interesting element. Everything else is quite plain and simple. But in the second outfit, you can see that both of the items, they're all interesting through details. And so again, it's going to create a visually more interesting outfit. Next, we can play with accessories. So you can see in a very simple outfit, we can just add a bag that is in a different color and it's also a bit looser fitting. And so that's just creating one point of interest, versus if we now add the belt and the jewelry and the hat, we are now creating a higher level of visual interest through accessories. And the final tool that I hadn't covered in the previous video because it was about building a capsule wardrobe is actually style contrast. So if you're someone that has a bit more of a interesting, creative or edgy style, you probably want to have elements from slightly different styles. And so in here, you can see that we have in general quite a casual outfit, but adding the blazer straight away creates a little bit of visual interest because it kind of clashes with everything else. And this is where styles like smart casual are actually born. However, you can also mix and match elements from 2 or more different styles. And so you can see in here, we have elements from a variety of different style essences. And so the outfit as a whole reads a lot more visually interesting. And so those are the 9 basic tools that you can use to make more visually interesting outfits. And the principle of visual stacking is all about putting them together to create more visual interest. Let me show you. So as you can see in this first look, we are starting with a very simple base of jeans and a jumper. And we've added a lot of polish with the shoes. Now, the things that make this outfit more interesting are definitely the slightly oversized shape of the blazer and the color, the vintage large jewelry, the belt that breaks off the line a little bit, and then we have a relatively plain bag to still keep it simple and daytime appropriate. So in this look, we've taken the simple jumper and trousers base, and we have used all of the other tools pretty much to create visual interest. So first we have the color contrast between the blue and the orange. We have also layered with the pattern jacket, and we have created a stylistic contrast between the trainers and the blazer. And also you can see there is some accessories that add visual interest, such as the hat and the jewelry. And so overall, you can see how much more interesting this outfit looks compared to the starting point. You might be wondering, okay, Millie, but actually I like an interesting base. What can I do to make my outfits more interesting? I don't just want to stop in there. Okay, let's see how you can use the different tools. And again, in here, I'm going to play with those 2 different outfits. You can see that the first one is contrasting and interesting through color, pattern, texture, and details. And the second one, compared to the black jeans and top, is actually different in length, in fit, pattern, texture, and also details on the skirt. So again, both of those bases I would call quite interesting. So the first tool we're going to play with is color, and if you want to use the very simple version of that tool, you can just have a black blazer or black coat and don't do anything more because the top itself has a contrasting color and you've added that point of interest. But maybe you don't want to stop there, and so by adding a different piece of outerwear, you can actually create more points of interest. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe because 97% of people that are watching my channel aren't subscribed yet, and I would love to have you here. The next tool you can use is pattern. And again, if we start with this outfit that already has a contrast in patterns, all you need to do is just add some more neutral accessories and keep it at that, and it's still going to be an interesting outfit. But if you want to up the ante, you can change the skirt and change the outerwear and up so much more the visual interest. The next tool you can use is layering or playing with different thicknesses. And so you can see here in this first outfit that we have layered the shirt with a simple cardigan, and in that way we have created some visual interest. However, if you want to up the ante even more, you can add the jacket on top of the cardigan and in that way create 3 different layers on top. And that is going to add a lot of that visual interest. Next, when it comes to texture, you can see this first outfit actually has quite a lot of contrast in texture because one is smooth and shiny and the other one is a little bit more 3-dimensional but matte. So we don't need to actually do anything in here, but if we wanted to add a bit more contrast in texture, we can add this textured bag and we can add the jacket because again, it has the zips, it has the texture, and so it's going to be even more interesting. And so when it comes to length, this outfit as a base is not super interesting through length, but we can add this blazer that is very long. And so it's going to create the contrast of the short skirt with the longer blazer, and that's the simple version of the length tool. But if you want to make it even more interesting, we can change the flat to a tall pair of boots. And so straight away, we're creating 2 different contrasts in length between the shoes and the skirt, and then also between the skirt and the jacket. And so that makes it more interesting. The next one we can play with is silhouette, and I'm going to use exactly the same items because you can see that in the first one, we only have one contrast of silhouette. Everything is quite relaxed, but then we have the simple shoes. And so when it comes to silhouette, again, you can see that just changing the shoes is actually creating a different silhouette, and you can see there is a bit more contrast in here. When it comes to details, your base might actually have items that are interesting on their own. And so if you just want to pare it back, you can keep everything else very simple. But if you want to up the ante a little bit more, you can add a piece of outerwear like a blazer or a coat that has visual interest. And so you can see how much more detailed this second outfit looks. When it comes to accessories, again, you can add a colorful bag in the more neutral version of the outfit and just stop there. That's the simple version. Or if you want the more advanced version, you can add a hat, belt, and some jewelry to just make the outfit even more interesting. And the final tool we can use is style contrast. And so you can see that with this base, we can add a blazer and shoes that both have the same more structured or formal aesthetic. And so it's going to create slightly contrasted look, but that's it. There is just contrast between the maybe slightly more edgy base with the more classic accessories. But if we want to make it even more contrasted, we can, for example, pair it with sneakers. And so the sneakers, the base, and the blazer are going to create more points of contrast. And again, you can play with visually stacking different tools, even with a more complex base. So in here, because we already have quite an interesting and varied base, we just want to play along on the different elements. And so the bag, for example, matches the color. The blazer plays on length and details and a little bit of texture. And we've also added the shiny boots with a detail and the hat to again amplify that. And so overall, you can see this is still much more visually interesting than the starting point. And again, in here, because we're starting with quite an interesting base, we can just add things on top to make it even bolder. And so we have the contrast of the length between the skirt and the boots, and also we have added texture and details with the coat. We are playing up a little bit with the accessories such as the hat and the belt and adding a little bit of pop of color with the pink bag. And so again, we've taken something quite neutral, quite simple, and turned it into something way more visually interesting. But this is where someone that is more of a visual maximalist or likes to create bolder, louder, more contrasting, visually more outfits is going to thrive. So personally, for me, if we look at it as a spectrum, I'm maybe somewhere around the 60-65%. So I definitely like to have visual interest, but I am not super maximalist. And so some of those outfits that I put together are a bit too much for me personally. However, you might be the person that those are perfect for. And so in your capsule, you can visually stack a lot of different tools. And so let me know below, have you used any of those tools before? Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one.